Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're not just looking at facts and figures. We're stepping right into the pitch black dark. We're diving into a first-hand encounter with the impossible. A story where the line between a sleep-deprived hallucination and a genuinely terrifying paranormal reality is, well, razor thin. So get ready, because we're about to follow one man into a forest where something truly unimaginable is waiting.
My name is Jasper, and this is the most terrifying experience of my life. When a guy starts a story like that, you listen, right? He's not trying to add dramatic flair or exaggerate just to get attention. He's simply laying out a chilling truth. But to really grasp why this is so terrifying, we first need to understand exactly who Jasper is. Now, Jasper is not the kind of guy who gets easily spooked. He's a Dutch security guard in his mid-20s, stands way over 6'5", he's physically fit and highly trained in self-defense. And the most important part? He is absolutely not afraid of the dark. The idea of walking completely alone through a pitch-black, isolated forest didn't bother him in the slightest. Honestly, he was practically fearless. Until this specific night.
But, even the toughest guards have a breaking point. Jasper's schedule was absolutely brutal. We're talking 6 or 7 days a week, with night shifts kicking off at 8 p.m. He'd enforce the campground curfew at 10 and then just push through the dead of night until 3 or even 5 in the morning. This kind of severe sleep deprivation and mental fatigue, that's a huge detail to keep in the back of your mind as we dive into what he actually claimed to see.
So, let's set the scene. The backdrop for this nightmare is a dense, deeply isolated woodland right behind the Dutch campground he patrolled. Hidden deep inside those trees sat an abandoned outdoor theater and this towering wooden watchtower. The whole area was strictly off-limits to campers. But, teenagers being teenagers, they loved breaking the rules. That meant Jasper's nightly routine involved creeping into this pitch-black wilderness, completely stealthy with his flashlight off, just to catch them.
Well, one night, deep into one of those grueling shifts, the silence of the woods broke. He heard faint whispers, distant laughter. It was echoing from somewhere deep within the trees. For a seasoned guard like Jasper, his first thought wasn't, "Oh, it's a ghost." It was just another group of kids ignoring curfew. So, figuring it was a routine catch, he moved in.
Jasper leaves the safety of the paved, well-lit campground. He parks his bike right where the lights end and starts heading down on foot. He's walking past the safety of civilization, straight into the dark, empty outdoor theater, and finally, pushing toward the absolute deepest, most isolated part of the woods, heading right for that watchtower. And remember, he's doing all of this without even clicking on his flashlight. But when he actually gets to the outdoor theater, the stage is completely dead empty. He finally clicks his flashlight on, sweeps the beam across all the dark corners, and nothing. Nobody's there. But the crazy part, the whispers hadn't stopped. In fact, they were moving. They were drifting deeper and deeper into the trees, almost like they were purposely luring him directly toward the watchtower. Jasper creeps forward, hiding himself behind a tree just out of sight of the watchtower. He's fully expecting to see kids sitting on the bench beneath it. But the bench is totally empty. And then, the whispering just stops. Every single sound evaporates. The forest suddenly plunges into this dead, heavy, completely unnatural silence.
Suddenly, this horrifying scream literally shatters the silence. It sounds like a young man, and it's coming from directly above him. Acting on pure adrenaline, Jasper whips his flashlight straight up, slicing the beam right through the dark to light up the very top of that towering wooden structure.
What that beam of light caught only lasted for a split second, but for Jasper, it played out in agonizing slow motion. A pitch-black, human-shaped silhouette was falling from the tower at an impossible, completely unnatural speed. He said it looked like a dense, dark cloud that had been violently thrown upside down, just plummeting headfirst toward the earth. And then, a heavy, unmistakable thud, the absolutely sickening sound of a body hitting the forest floor, literally just feet away from him. Jasper just froze. His blood ran totally cold. He was absolutely certain he had just watched a horrific, fatal fall right in front of his eyes.
With his hands shaking uncontrollably, Jasper lowers the flashlight, fully expecting a gruesome scene. He sweeps the beam across the ground, but there's no body, no footprints. The dirt wasn't even disturbed, just nothing. The ground was entirely pristine. I mean, how on earth could something scream, fall, hit the ground with a sickening thud, and then simply vanish?
Jasper's brain completely short-circuited, but his primal instincts took the wheel. Run. This fearless 6'5" security guard spun around and sprinted blindly out of the dark woods. With his heart literally pounding in his ears, he throws himself onto his bike and pedals frantically back to the safety and the bright lights of the campground bar. He bursts into the bar, totally pale and breathless, and just frantically blurts out this impossible thing he just saw to the staff. And that's when a coworker's face completely drains of color. She pulls him aside and drops a terrifying truth bomb. The year before Jasper even started working there, a teenage boy had actually fallen from that exact watchtower and died instantly, right on the spot.
Adding an extra layer of dread to the whole thing, the boy's death was actually entirely unsolved. Was it just a really tragic accident where he slipped in the dark? Or, as some people suspected, was he pushed? Foul play was definitely on the table. The mystery of how he died just hung like this dark cloud over the entire forest. Jasper hadn't just seen some random shadow, he had literally watched a reenactment of a real horrific tragedy.
The psychological toll this took on Jasper was immediate, and it was permanent. Keep in mind, this is a man professionally trained to handle violent, physical threats. Yet the fear from that single night was so paralyzing that he actually began forging his daily security reports. He'd write down that he patrolled the theater, but the truth? He never ever set foot near that forest again. So what really happened out there in the dark? If we look at it logically, we really have to consider extreme exhaustion. Working weeks of brutal 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. shifts can absolutely break a human brain, and it can conjure up hyper-realistic audio and visual hallucinations right out of the shadows. But the alternative explanation is something far more sinister. That Jasper actually witnessed the lingering spirit of a boy, doomed to violently relive his final, terrifying seconds on a permanent loop.
Which really leaves us with one deeply unsettling question. Did Jasper's sleep-deprived brain simply crack under the pressure of the dark, isolated woods? Or did the supernatural actually manifest right in front of his very eyes? Honestly, we may never know for sure. But it's definitely something to keep in mind the next time you find yourself entirely alone in the pitch-black dark. Thanks for joining us on this explainer. Stay curious and stay safe out there.